Hey everyone, John here from All Miniatures Great and Small, and today we're doing an unboxing for Team Yankee, a World War III miniatures game from Battlefront Miniatures. This time we're going to be looking at the Dana self-propelled 152mm artillery battery. This box contains 3 of the Dana self-propelled guns. Alright, flipping it over, we can see this beast of an artillery piece. Not too much on here. We have the assembly guide here. Side view of the vehicle, contents, 3 guns. Okay, so not much to it. There you see on the front kind of a nice picture of the tanks. Now I bought this because I'm going to be playing as a Warsaw Pact force, I think Polish, in an upcoming battle report, and I wanted to have something in my force that screamed more Warsaw Pact than just Soviet equipment, you know, Soviet dedicated equipment. The gun is kind of cool because it was kind of a self-loading or an automatic loading artillery piece, which was cool. Alright, let's open it up and take a look. Okay. We have the ever traditional plastic shell case, clam case for these, packed by I-18 Mass, so thank you. You can just see the size of some of these things here. My goodness. So this is like a 8-wheeled unit, artillery unit. You can see just the size of that thing. And then here is a turret. And we've got the wheels and the gun pieces here. Here's the gun barrel. It's a little bent, but you know, this is all metal, so a little work. There's a little flashing on there, but you know, that'll come off pretty easy. Anytime you work with a resin metal kit, you're going to expect some cleanup. They aren't quite as smooth to put together as the plastic models, but you know, by having these resin and metal kits, that the tooling is cheaper than if you're going to build it in plastic. So you can have more obscure units in resin and metal rather than not have them at all, which is kind of cool. So you get 3 of these in the box. Let's see some of the detail here. It does have indentation for a magnet, which I think I'll magnetize these because they're just so honking big. I'll put the turret on the top. Very imposing. Alright, let's go ahead and build them and come back and talk about the build process, but I think it's going to be pretty straightforward. Alright, so assembly is done. I did wash these guys in some soapy water just to get some of that mold release agent off, but I've done that on occasion. Sometimes I've skipped it. I've never really noticed much of a difference either way. But the assembly was pretty good. There was no major problems. There was some gluing these wheels in. There were a few that had some resin buildup in the kind of the wheel wells that had to be trimmed out. For the most part, I think I got it. So I think I only have one that's the slightest bit wobbly, this one. But if I just put that on a piece of sandpaper and rub it down, it's going to be fine. The set does not come with magnets. However, I would consider this one probably one that you do want to track down some magnets for. I just had some spare magnets, so you can put them in, but again, they do not come with the kit. So I think Battlefront should really consider that, especially with something like this where that gun barrel makes this thing so heavy that it's real easy to tip these over if they're not magnetized. So I would consider magnets, you know, pretty essential to this kit. I would recommend them anyway. Overall, the detail is really nice. These things are huge. Just to give you a scale, here's a Carnation, which is 122 millimeter artillery, and you can kind of see the size difference there. These are just big honking trucks. And here's a T-72. It's even longer than a T-72, but not wider. So these are kind of narrow, which is another caution so that they don't, you know, tip over on the table. But yeah, I mean, I really like how these look. Again, these are, you know, something that's kind of unique to Warsaw Pact, which is cool. This 152 millimeter artillery is pretty deadly. So let's go into the unit overview for these guys. Now, another thing that this set does not come with, besides not coming with magnets, it didn't come with decals, and it didn't come with a unit cards, which is interesting. I didn't know when Battlefront stopped doing that, but the box, even the box doesn't mention it. So at first I thought it might have been a packing error, but no, the box doesn't actually say that it comes with unit cards anymore. And I don't know if that is just something for this release, like in Warsaw Pact, because you would have to include several cards, one for each nation that can take these, or if you know, some other cost-cutting measure. But you know, these metal and resin are pretty expensive as it is. These three vehicles, I think, cost me 40, 41, 42 online. Retail, they're probably right around that. That's 42 US. So just something to keep in mind, that just buying the box, you're probably going to want some magnets for sure. You're going to want some decals, and you're going to need unit cards. Now, hopefully you've got the book, so you know, unit cards aren't required, or you buy the pack of cards, the Warsaw Pact cards, and you get them that way. But I mean, if you have the book, you're going to have access to the stats, so it's not that big a deal, except for convenience. I do like the convenience of it. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the stats. Now, armor-wise, this thing is just kind of all around 1 and 1 with a top armor of 0. It is hit on a 3+, like most Soviet stuff. And I'm looking at the Polish version. That's the version I'm talking about right now, because that's the version I'm going to be playing in my game, upcoming battle report. The Polish version has a skill of 4+, assault 6, counterattack 5+. Can you imagine these things going into assaulting infantry? It is possible. Courage 3+, morale 3+, remount 3+. Now, the important stat for artillery is, of course, skill, because skill is what you use to range in on. So these guys are going to be ranging in on a 4+, which is about 50% of the time on something that's not covered or not in terrain, so if it's out in the open. If you're dropping the template on like infantry in woods or in a building, that adds +1 to that, so you're only going to be ranging in on a 5 or 6. Since artillery gets 3 attempts to range in, even with a 5, odds are you're going to get it one of the 3 times. But with a 4+, you should reliably at least range in once when you're trying to make your range in attempt. The speed of this is pretty typical. It's just a 10-inch tactical, 12-inch terrain, 18-inch cross-country, but since it's got road wheels, it can really book 36 inches on the road. So that's 3 feet of your tabletop in one turn, and a cross-check of 5+. So you don't want to, well, you know, if you're deploying these in the woods, you don't want to have to move them afterwards, because they're not coming out. All right. Otherwise, it has that 152 millimeter like artillery gun, and it has a 96-inch range for the artillery template, Anti-Tank 4, 2+ firepower with auto-loader, smoke, bombardment as the special rules. So let's talk. Anti-Tank 4 means you are threatening even top-tier tanks. Abrams, Leopard 2s, top armor 2 vehicles are not impervious to these. If they roll a 1, they're going to get penned, which is very, very scary. So if you can cover multiple tanks in one template, you know, that's pretty good odds. Now the auto-loader rule is pretty interesting because what it does basically is it makes it 1 easier to hit your target. So once you range in, you know, like most NATO stuff is hit on a 4+ under the template, but these guys with the auto-loader rule are going to be hitting them on a 3+. If you're firing at hit on 3 stuff, it's going to be hit on a 2. So that's a really nice boost. It really picks up the odds of doing damage, particularly if you're getting, you know, multiple stuff under the template. So that's the auto-loader rule. It also can fire smoke bombardment, which is always handy. It's always good to have some smoke bombardment, especially if you're on the attack. Getting into range of the objectives and laying some smoke is always great. It also has a 50 cal machine gun. Now I'm not sure on the model where that 50 cal machine gun is. I don't see it. I don't see anything obvious. There's no pieces for it, but it's got one somewhere there, and it's an AA machine gun. You know, it's the pretty typical 3 shots halted, 2 shots moving, anti-tank 4, 5+ firepower. So not bad at all. So overall, 3 of these run 7 points. You can run them in a unit of 3 or a unit of 6, which would be terrifying, but you know, pretty exciting if you're the Warsaw Pact player. All right, guys. So there you go. There is a look at the Dana self-propelled 152mm artillery battery for Team Yankee. So if you like our content here, Team Yankee, and all the other stuff we do, please do consider YouTube memberships. There's a join button down below. Clicking there lets you support the channel, lets us know you like what we're doing, and as a benefit you get access to early access videos, badges, emojis, and custom videos, all kinds of cool stuff. Also, we have our Patreon for our Flames of War fans. People that join our Patreon get access to a Flames of War battle report every month just for them. And you can check us out on Facebook and Instagram as well. I appreciate you guys watching, and keep on gaming.